Hello friends, today I'm going to be telling you more about Dimash in the second part of my introduction to him. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the foundation that allowed him to become such a great star, which I believe is his family. He's just had a very supportive family from the very beginning. Both of his parents were both professional musicians, and they did something that we would think is unusual but is part of Kazakh tradition, which is they had him brought up by by his grandparents, because that's the tradition in Kazakhstan. And it was his grandparents that were the first ones to notice his musical interests and sought to foster it. And at age 5, they enrolled him in a school of music for children, and he already started performing at that age. So he's had many years of performance before he even made the big world stage. One of the interesting things about his family is that they are all normal in height, medium height, and he towers at 6'3". And I'd be curious to find out where genetically that height came from. In the last speech, I started going into this, but he is probably one of the best trained vocalists ever in pop music, because he has a degree in classical bel canto singing, like opera. He has another undergraduate degree in pop singing. He just this summer got his master's degree in musical composition, and you would think he would be done there, but no, he's now getting ready to work on his doctoral thesis. So I think what I've heard is his goal is, when down the road, he wants to open his own musical academy. And I can see that because he's so giving and magnanimous, and he loves to lift other people up. One of the things that's interesting is one of his goals is to be married. He's a good Muslim boy. But one of the things that's unique for us here in the States is he wants his wife to stay with his parents and his extended family when he's out traveling the world. That's the way they do it. It must work, because look at how solid and what a really great person he is. So the culture must really work. He was invited to be an opera singer when he was finishing up his degrees, but although he could have done it, probably singing countertenor stuff in the Baroque repertoire, he wanted to do pop music. He was really just dead set on it. And when he was 20, he went to Belarus to a really big musical competition, and he won the Grand Prix prize. The very fortuitous thing for him about this is that this was broadcast all over the former Soviet satellite countries like Ukraine, Belarus, Kazakhstan. And so he really got known. His really big year in breaking into the scene was 2017. He got it in his head he wanted to compete in the Singer, which is a big musical competition in China that's different from what you see in like the America's Best Talent and that sort of stuff, because they are not asking amateurs to come. They ask people who already have careers going. And he was the youngest that had ever competed. He did not win, but he still won in the sense that it really put him on the map. That show has 1.7 billion people who watch it. Can you even imagine? And after the very first performance, he was such a huge hit that 600 million people looked at his social media page, and he picked up 5 million followers, which is really good. He now has 10 million fans around the world who are called his dears. Most of them are women, and then there's me. one thing that happened after this performance, the singer, was it's the first time he needed bodyguards, because all of a sudden people started following him around and he was thinking, what has he done wrong? But it was just the fame. One of the people that found out about him was one of his heroes, which is Jackie Chan. He had done years of Taekwondo, and so he was very much into martial arts. And he wanted to continue with it, but he just didn't have the time. And an interesting thing for me is that I think that a lot of his freedom on stage, and he's probably one of the most demonstrative performers I've ever seen on stage, probably comes from all of being so familiar with his body and used to using it and being master of his body, which he is. Well, anyway, getting back, Jackie Chan wanted to meet him. And he was kind of at a loss, because in his culture, if you meet somebody like that, you have to bring a gift, like a really good gift. And he was in China, not surrounded by any people from Kazakh culture at all. But he located a Kazakh community in China, and he was able to get a traditional Kazakh robe and gave it to Jackie Chan, who was just very, very appreciative of this. His first large concert was in 2017, and that was in Kazakhstan, but it was for 2.5 hours. And actually a lot of the performance was done singing Kazakh folk songs, and the people just loved it. He is a real person who believes in pushing and advancing Kazakh culture. In 2017, something very interesting happened. He had his first LP released in China. He already had an LP once before, but this one went platinum in 37 seconds. And in 1 hour, it had already gone to 3 million, triple platinum, which is quite an accomplishment. One thing that I find very interesting about his performances as a Westerner is, I've never seen this in a pop performance, where people from the audience go down and give him bouquets of flowers. Now, I've seen this on the opera performances, because it happens to divas all the time. And I asked on the Facebook page for Dimash, what is the history behind this? And apparently this is very common in Russia and in the Central Asian countries, to show your respect and your love for somebody. So I think it's beautiful. One thing that Dimash has as a feather in his cap that I don't know of any other pop singer who has this, is that he is a fashion model. Maybe some of the women, but not any of the guys. And he's been on the cover of several fashion magazines, as well as he headlined a line of clothing, just a pretty big deal. I don't think he likes to do it, but it's good money. He has hired BMG, who work with Madonna, Rihanna, and Beyonce to help sort of jazz up his performances to make them a little more acceptable in the West. America has different tastes than Eastern Europe and China and Russia. So it'll be interesting to see. They are writing songs for him, but he is not going to let them completely rework him, because he's still going to be doing songs by performers from Korea and China, and of course he has a real major composer that he works with in Russia, and then he does his own performances. In fact, I'm going to be playing you a clip from one of his own songs today. Friends, I really enjoyed talking to you today about my favorite singer, Dimash, and I hope you learned something new and something to make you love him even more. Thank you very much.